My daughter, she had a question. She's like, why do my supports not matter? And so that hit me hard. That's an emotional response. How are we going to navigate this? Like, if we have to pay for this out of pocket?
What does that mean to these kiddos who think they have autism funding till March 31st, but they're interventionists and their team had to jump ship for their own stability? There's a lot of questions not answered yet. Not one parent is sitting here going, thank you so much for that supplement. I'm really going to need that. They're terrified.
I did a calculation the other day of how much we spend a month between all of our support. $4,100 a month.
Oof.
I don't care what your income is. Nobody has $4,100 a month to spend.
I'm here with Lee today. We're going to chit chat a little bit about our kiddos, about what's happening with the new BC autism announcement for the funding. We're heading into this wild transition year. We got 1 year as parents to figure this out. So we're going to talk about the government news, where we are right now in it, how parents are feeling, how they're posting online, how Lee's going through this, navigating it with her kiddos, me with mine, and we're just going to be here together. Parents that have children that should have had these services all along are feeling like us kiddos who are us parents that have access to autism funding are upset with, well, which we're not upset. No, they should have had it the whole time.
No.
And I know that they know that. But of course, when we as parents are asking the government to reconsider this change, what they're hearing is that we don't want them considered. And that's not the case. So we have to be more diligent on the way that we word
Absolutely.
this. I'm absolutely saying, like, keep autism funding, but just also and provide it for those that do not have an autism diagnosis. So that's where I stand on it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Both need support.
Tell me about your kiddos and tell me about the therapies they're having. I know your eldest, she does equine therapy as well, right?
Yeah.
And then your middle, he has an OT that comes to the home. So tell me a little bit about that and tell me how you're feeling about it. Have you talked to those service providers yet on how they're feeling or what's going to happen?
I have.
Yeah.
So I wrote these down actually before all their therapies.
Yeah,
because it's really hard to keep track of in my mind. So
I bet.
my oldest, she does life skills at a horse stable.
Yeah.
And so she loves that. She goes every 2 weeks. She loves being with animals. It's a place where she feels like she has purpose and like she's connected and grounded. And it's really beautiful to see because she struggles with anxiety. And so when she goes into these places, you can just see her melt into the space.
Yeah.
She also volunteers at a cat rescue.
Aww.
And she loves that as well because she gets to be there and be with the animals, right? And so it's just amazing to watch. She also has an occupational therapist.
Yep.
She sees her between every 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And she's really great. She helps her with executive functioning.
Good.
And she has a counselor she sees once a week right now.
Yep.
And that's, again, just helping her with, I think, so much that's happened in her life and just the trauma of school and all her experiences.
Yeah.
So that's, and then she has an education assistant.
Cool.
And so she has an education assistant who comes over twice a week because we homeschool now. We pulled them from brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And so she has an EA who's over twice a week as well. My middle, he has OT. He comes to the house every 2 weeks. And that relationship to him is one of the most important he has, probably outside of his family. He says he's one of his favorite people. And his OT he's been a huge help for us along the way too. Like when we had the 2 misdiagnoses, we didn't know where to go next. My son became agoraphobic. He wouldn't leave the house. Sensory issues around his hands, couldn't touch the door handle, was screaming in agony from the sensory overwhelm.
Oof.
We didn't know what to do. He wouldn't wear clothes. That was another one. So we couldn't get him out of the house.
Yeah.
And our OT helped us. I said, like, where do I go from here? Like, we're so lost. And he said, I would pursue this further. And he wrote us a letter that was given to the developmental pediatrician about autism and the spectrum and taking out the levels. And it was so beautifully worded that the developmental pediatrician wanted to talk to him after about how good.
Yeah,
Was
yeah, I
us,
bet, I
you know?
bet, yeah.
So just having somebody who gets it, who
Yeah,
gets my son,
yeah.
right? And so he comes over. He's also a gamer, and so my son is, and so they have that shared bond.
Mhm.
And just knowing he doesn't have to leave the house,
Yeah,
because for my son, um, leaving the house is really difficult. It
yeah.
takes a lot of mental energy to do it. And it's improving. Like, we are able to get him out of the house sometimes when he's willing, and we've
Mhm.
talked about it, and there's a plan and
Yeah.
all the things,
It's
you know,
predictable and
and
yeah.
there's not too many outings in a week and all that.
Yeah,
And so losing that would be devastating.
right.
And then he also has the EA who comes over,
Mhm,
and he does see a counselor every 2 weeks as well.
mhm.
And that is out of the house, but
Yeah,
he's willing to go. He's known her for years. Like, we've
good.
worked with her before the diagnosis as well.
Mhm.
And then my youngest, he has speech therapy once a week, and we drive to that. He has a BI who comes to the house twice a week.
Perfect.
She's also our EA. So she's at our house 12 hours a week. This is going to significantly impact her, and she's
Yes.
scared.
Yes.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the providers, like our OT. When he came over the other day, he was shaking his head. He's like, I just don't understand why they would go to this model. And between him and Ollie, our youngest, his name is Ollie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Um, Between their BIs, both were just like, what is the supports going to look like now? And also, like, what providers are going to want to move into these community hubs? Because, you know, often what happens too is they are expected to do more with less hours with the children. And our speech therapist said this yesterday too. She said, well, instead of getting to see your child once a week, what does that look like now? Is that once a month? And he's made so much progress.
Yeah.
Like, my son was barely, like, our 4-year-old was barely talking when he started a year ago. And he's speaking now, right? And that's once a week therapy. And then what?
And what I love about the therapy too is the kids can see little breadcrumbs of pride in themselves and they get excited and
Mm-hmm.
they too can see these little celebrations
Yeah.
that they're accomplishing and as a mom watching it, it's very liberating, and having that now removed is tough. The school system is already bogged down, so depending on, like you said, you have to homeschool, so depending on depending on the
whole nother
school,
thing.
I mean, my sister's in EA, and I think she's the best person on the planet. Like, she's an angel on earth, and
Mhm.
and she works with kiddos that are really impacted by autism, and she's doing her very best, and EAs do their very best, and we love them very much, but they don't know what they don't know, and the school system doesn't have enough funds for them to be one-on-one, the whole 6 hours in the school, and the kids, they suffer for that. It's not therapy at school.
Mhm.
So I know the schools are doing the best they can, but it's not the same as when kids go to therapy and have therapy and they're seeing those little milestones being hit and
Mhm.
celebrating those with their family and the therapist. So I feel sad for all of those little moments, because in the autism brain, it's very important that they have a lot of positive memory bank experiences. And for a lot of these kiddos, they're going through a lot of really tough times with people around them that don't know what's going on in their brains. So when they're finally with, the interventionists or SLPs and OTs and PCBAs that get it and know and are educated on what's happening in their brains, it feels like such a safe place
Mhm.
where they can be themselves. And I'm terrified for those littles losing that.
Yep.
And sounds like your providers feel the same that we do here
Mhm.
at Awesome Match. We're like, I have to answer to my VIs as well and be like, nothing is certain.
No.
And it's terrifying from a provider perspective, which plays into parents, because I've already had parents ask me if we're committed to being there. I can't answer that. And because I can't answer that respectfully, if my mentors and behavioral interventionists need to pursue another career because this isn't stable for them, they're all so amazing that respectfully I have to respect that.
Mhm.
And then what does that mean to these kiddos who think they have autism funding till March 31st, but their interventionists and their team had to jump ship for their own stability?
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of questions not answered yet, but yeah.
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 Yeah. And also, you brought up the schools there too. One of the questions I have moving forward is what what supports are there going to be any extra supports in the schools now? Because I agree they're doing their best with what they have, right?
Yeah.
There's limited supports there. I have friends that are EAs as well.
Yeah.
And speaking with them, like they're already struggling.
Yeah.
And now all of these kids are going to lose their outside funding
Yes.
for their supports. And now they're coming to school struggling even more, dysregulated, and there's no extra for them, right? What happens then?
I agree. I think how the government is trying to frame this, in my opinion, you can, and maybe you can speak for the parents that are on your page as well, and how you're feeling, is how the government is framing this is look, guys, we're not saying not to have therapy anymore. We're saying we're going to give it to you free in the community centers. I can't touch base on that right now. That angle does not work or sit. The math is not mathing on that for me, but I'm going to put that aside. But if they're saying it's okay, guys, we're giving you still therapy money through the supplements, but what I found very frustrating about how you've been on the town hall meetings.
Yes.
Okay. What I feel frustrating, Emily, I believe her name is.
Yes, Emily Horton.
I feel like each time, and I'm not saying anything negative on Emily, she's doing a fantastic job for the job she has to do. But it kind of feels like it's framed at the beginning of each. It kind of sounds like the government has heard that these kiddos come from homes that are experiencing gaps income-wise because it is expensive to raise a child with neurodiversibilities or any kind of disability, because there's things, there's safe foods, there's sensory clothing and equipment, and
gas to all the appointments, eating at drive-thrus, you know, like all the things.
Coffee to stay awake when raising 3 kids and bringing them everywhere. Like, it's a real lifestyle where even a lot of parents can't work. A lot of parents can't work because they get called out of work, or they lose their jobs because they have to go rescue their kids from school or from daycare or wherever. And so, yes, correct. The government has a responsibility to help those families with supplementing their income. But what's really been rattling my bones, if I can say, is that they're framing it that, hey, here's a supplement for those families who need this extra income because. But then they're also saying, you can use it for therapy. It's not going to hurt your therapy. Well, which one is it?
Which one?
Is it going to hurt your therapy or is it not? Because now you're asking parents to choose between keeping the lights on, putting food on the table, or therapy. And how dare you? To me, it's like the same thing as being like, hey, like, why don't we just close down the schools? We're just going to give the parents the money we would give the school district. And you guys find teachers and you guys find EAs, or pay your bills.
Choose one.
It's fine. Yeah. Everything's fine.
No, I hear you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, and I think also we don't even know like when that's going to come. Like they're saying July of next year.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So like there's a gap there too.
Yeah, 4-month gap.
Yeah. So, and is it going to be a 4-month gap? Like what will that actually look like? And if you don't have the disability tax credit in yet, like how many more people are going to be applying over the next period of time? Are there going to be even more backlog? Because we know the CRA is. And so there's just so many question marks right now of how people are going to be able to afford this.
I agree. And do you know what I think is fascinating? Is that it's almost like in any other scenario, parents hearing, hey guys, you might get an extra $500 a month.
Yeah.
Families would be like, that's amazing. We so need this. Thank you so much. Not one parent is sitting here going, thank you so much for that supplement. I'm really going to need that. They're like, what is happening to my child? What is going to happen? Like they're terrified. I have not yet met one parent okay with this.
No.
That currently has AFU.
Yep. And I want to also say with the supplement, so say we get an extra $10,000 a year. Yeah. I did a calculation the other day of how much we spend a month between our EA, all of our supports.
Okay, cool.
$4,100 a month. Now, we do also get some homeschool funding. So I don't want to say that's all on AFU, but we already go over. So we go over already what we currently get from AFU. Yeah. $4,100 a month. Oof. I don't care what your income is. Nobody has $4,100 a month to spend.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I could not imagine. Like
I was sitting down, I'm like, how many appointments do we have a month? Right? And what is the cost of all of this? And that's what we're looking at.
And many families are not in a position at all or have access to that at all. Like,
no.
a lot of them even right now, they only have access to the 6,000 a year, so 500 a month through AFU. And they're already finding that hard to navigate. As the service providers find that very hard to navigate. It's very hard to provide services with only a $500 a month budget.
Yep.
And the behavioral world, because you need a consultant and an interventionist, and consultants, you know, their wages are
Absolutely.
respectfully.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I find it radical for a lot of the families out there on how we're going to be able to navigate this. And I am very curious.
And these community hubs too. So I posted the other day, I was looking at the government website about where all the community hubs are. Yeah, I looked at the map.
Oh, yeah.
So families who live rurally,
Yeah.
this is the biggest
Yeah.
worry for me. I had one mom comment on my post. She lives on the island, Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
She's like, there's nowhere near me for supports. And
Yeah.
she has multiple autistic kids as well.
Yeah.
There's another mom who posted, she said it's 6 hours in a car to the next development center. So how are they going to address these gaps?
Well, I would assume, we're going to assume, they're going to say virtual therapy, which, as we know through COVID, that is successful to a very small percentage of families. I don't think it's successful for a lot of kiddos.
I question, because if we've got our kids who are ollies, who are autistic ADHD, if they
Yeah.
are hyperactive ADHD,
Yes.
as I know my 4-year-old is,
Yes.
if I tried to put him in front of a screen for a therapy session for an extended period of time, that would not go well.
That's right.
Like I watched our speech therapist yesterday with him. She had to follow him around the room multiple times. He was changing activities. He was spinning on the chair,
Yeah.
like he needs
His
to move
body
his body.
has things to do. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's a sensory seeker.
Yeah.
So yes, for some kids, the virtual therapy can definitely work.
Yeah.
I know looking at my children, my youngest, that would just not work.
Yeah.
And so now what?
Yeah.
And that's going to be so many families in these rural communities.
Mm-hmm. Have your kids felt your stress, or have you talked to them about it at all? Or
the younger two know. My 11-year-old doesn't know what's going on. My 13-year-old does. So
Yeah.
she's highly aware. She is one of the most empathetic people you will meet. Like she can feel everything going on. And so last week when this all came out, like I was vibrating. Like I was shaking when this first happened, because at first I saw the number. I was like, $475 million. Oh, this is fantastic. I even posted about it. I was like, oh,
yeah,
there's a new announcement.
You're like, oh,
and then
second
I went
thought.
back and I hit edit.
Like,
Wrong. Because I had to keep walking away to be with my
well,
kids.
they have
and
like
stuff,
a 30-something page PDF
Yeah.
until you find the Ollie example, and then you're like, oof.
Yeah. And our EA was at our house at the time too. And so I was relaying information to her as I'm reading the document.
Yeah.
But my daughter, she had a question. She's like, why do my supports not matter?
Yeah.
Right. And so that hit me hard. Like that's an emotional response. Like, how are we going to navigate this? Like if we have to pay for this out of pocket, and she needs these people. Like she has relationships with these people. She enjoys going to her counselor. She enjoys going to her equine therapy, her life skills, like this is going to be really hard.
I think it's tough even as a bonus mom to a 19-year-old who has technically aged out of the system. He still has access because we have Awesome Match. So so he's able to access his BI Jameson. He's been able to continue that. And his first thing, I mean, I'm having a severe panic attack on this couch. And he's like, what's going on? And we tell him, and of course the first thing he's going to go to is, what does that mean for me? And I'm like, well, Bug, you're kind of aged out, but like at the same time, he does still have Jameson, and everyone's future in this industry is a little shaken. So I can't promise where Jameson's going to be at. Super hope we're here, and a 1,000,000%, 1,000,000% hope Jameson is. But that's where Tegan went to, and Tegan, as a 19-year-old, still requires that just to help navigate life. And even with educated parents here in the home that we're doing our best to guide him, he still needs that safe person to talk to, and that safe person to go to, and that safe person to help him, because as you go out of school and you try and become an adult, there's a whole other chain of challenging phases to go through. And I think the older our kiddos get, the ollies, the more you see the anxiety and the depression. And so my question really is what's going to happen when they say they're going to do mental health supports in these community centers?
Mm.
What is that going to look like? They say that they're putting 40% more back into these community centers that they already have. I don't have you accessed these community centers?
Yeah, we did access the one in our community.
Okay, tell me about that.
Prior to diagnosis.
Yeah.
I was trying to get speech therapy for our youngest.
Yeah.
That was non-existent. The wait list was so long that we weren't going to get it. Yeah, and so they did offer private, or they couldn't offer private because, or they couldn't offer speech supports anymore because we had private. And so we couldn't switch back to that. So once a kid had private, you can't go back to the development center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that may change with all of the things. But even so if you think of, okay, so they get an 40% increase. So maybe we can assume it would be 40% faster to get in, or I'm not sure what the 40% is going to mean, because I think what was said in one of the town hall meetings is the 40% should mean more providers. So I think they're trying to appeal to providers. But I know for us, like you were talking about all the families in the rural areas, it's super hard to get service providers. In Chilliwack, I mean, we're pretty close to the city. And we've been trying to get SLPs and OTs in clinic for years. Indeed, as we're like giving massive incentives with huge bonuses. We pay extremely well compared to what Fraser Health pays or what the CDC pays. Because you can see on Indeed how much these companies are offering.
Yep.
And then we are offering way more and we still can't get them.
Yep.
So is that 40% going to an increase in wage to appeal to them, which would mean not a 40% increase in staffage?
Funding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like when I was talking to our speech therapist and OTs this week, OTs, it's a in-demand position.
Yes, very. I think I know who your OT is, for the record.
Okay.
And if it is, I'm super jealous because he's amazing and we've spoken to him.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
What was I saying there?
Speaking to him about the wages and stuff, because we were talking about wages and
That's right.
working for like CDC. Like, let's pretend your OT gets approached by the child development centers being like, hey, we really need you because OTs are in demand and you have experience. And
yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to speak for your OT, but what are we?
And it's less pay, right?
Yes.
To work for them, right?
Yeah.
And also potentially higher demands on them and more micromanaging, right? And that's the fear. That's what I've heard from some of our providers.
These are specialists that have their own autonomy.
Yeah.
And have for a very long time.
Yep.
And have been able to state their rates, or what they think they're worth, based on the successes they've been able to have. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know. And then trying to find these people. I was going to say there, I lost my train of thought. But the OTs, they have school in BC. But Emily Horton was talking about fast tracking the graduates coming out of these programs.
Okay.
But and then there are no speech therapy programs here, right? In BC. That's what our speech therapist told me yesterday. So I want to look into like, where are these? I think
Alberta.
Yeah, Alberta. Yeah. So like, if she's talking about fast tracking them, is she now taking them from Alberta too in this fast tracking process? So that's like another question I have is, where are you getting them from and how are you going to fast track them if they're not even in our province?
And how do you say they're high quality if you're taking brand new students that don't have experience yet? Now, respect for the education and the fact that it's new education and all of the things. But how do we yet know if it's high quality if it's brand new? So yes, kudos to like, hey, already existing child development centers who already have structures in place. They have the tools, they have the know-how, they have HR peoples, they have all the things. Kudos. At the same time, we can't claim it's high quality if we haven't yet been there, and we're extracting students who we don't yet know because they're still in school. And there's a lot of unknowns there. I would assume it would be hard for the government to navigate in the first place what timelines are going to be right now. Like, we have questions, but I don't think there is a way for them to give us actual answers. Like, what would they say? Would they say, Haley, I think it's going to be a 3-month wait. I think maybe for your kids, maybe a 3-month wait, but for these kids, maybe a 1 month. Because how are they going to, like, how would they possibly know? They won't know until they know how many people they can hire, if those people are going to stay with them, what their retention rate's going to be, how many kiddos they're going to put into group sessions versus individualized therapy. I don't think there's a way of them knowing, and I think we have a lot of questions that there's no way of the government answering them.
No. And the groups are coming out 1 year later, too. I don't know if you saw that. Like the 6 to 18.
Yeah, they focus on early intervention right now?
Yeah. And then in 2027.
Yep.
But then the groups for 6 to 18 are not coming out until 2028. So what does that mean? That's
And
another
I,
big
and
question.
I also seen that they were talking about like behavioral therapy and mental health is coming out in 2027, but all
Hmm.
other programs not until 2028. So that would be the SLP and the OT for kids over the age of 6.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
So
because
that's the question, right? Like there are so many questions right now, and I think this is where parents are struggling, caregivers are struggling, is we just don't know, and we don't know until this summer as well. Like who's going to be looking at our kids? Who's going to be assessing them? How do we prep our children for these conversations of are you autistic enough? Like that one like really stings. Um
we were talking about earlier, because our ollies, even though
mhm.
you have an ollie,
Yeah,
but our ollies are heavily impacted by the mental health components and co-conditions of autism, like
that's
the
right.
anxiety and the ADHD, which
Sensory processing, OCD. Yeah.
yeah, those. And so to the outside, in the outside world, they can't see all of this inside things happening with their kiddos. And it feels almost like, I'm not saying segregation, but I'm saying it feels like what's happening is the benefits portion is being given to the kiddos that have intellectual disabilities and significant delays and milestones. Whereas in our kiddos who have mental health co-conditions of autism, those are the ones that are like, okay, families, here's your supplement, figure it out,
Mhm.
or wait for our community centers to figure it out.
Mhm.
But those, our kiddos are equally affected by autism because it's a different hard.
Yeah.
Pick your hard. It's a different hard.
Yeah.
It's all hard.
Yeah. And now you don't get the funding, right?
And
Like you
now
get
you're
the
giving, and now you're
supplement,
giving,
but yeah.
and now you're putting barriers in the way for parents who are literally like, when you were talking about how your daughter was feeling and what she was saying about her views of life, like for parent watching your kids go through the mental health challenges, I can say as a bonus, I'm like every time he has a massive anxiety attack that turns into a panic attack, I swear to God, I look at him and I'm like, I just want to crawl in his brain and hug it and tell him he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how strong of a feeling it is when you watch your child have severe anxiety, debilitating anxiety. And to say that that's to figure it out, and here, parents, here's some money for living expenses, but try and figure out therapy in a world where I'm a service provider and I know the realism of accessing these.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just deep in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the mental health piece too, like I look at my kids and the struggles that they are having and have had. And I am a late diagnosed ADHD woman and I'm probably autistic myself. Like I've done some counseling around it and talked
Yeah.
to certain providers, but I've never been diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I look back at my childhood and the not knowing, right? Like I didn't fit in. I was always on the outs of groups. I was the weird kid. I was too much. I was too sensitive. I was all those things that people put labels on. Um,
But what if you had
and
access to the
what if I
service?
would have had somebody
Yeah.
who understood me and cared enough to understand me? And my coping mechanisms, or I ended up with severe depression and anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder at a young age, and
Oh,
OCD as
sorry.
well.
Yeah.
But when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I turned to substances. And, that's not part of my life now, but I think about all of those kids that are not going to get the supports that they need. And, potentially my kids too. Like, what does that mean for them long term? Like, I use substances to try to fit in with other people because I was always trying so hard.
And you're the most vulnerable population.
Yeah.
So you're vulnerable to being asked if you want to try these substances
Yeah.
because of social challenges.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I'm sorry.
And we have really open conversations about these things in our house, right? Because of my experience. And my husband is also late diagnosed ADHD and he's for sure autistic as well. We're not diagnosed. And so we look at this whole picture and look at our life experiences and we're like, we don't want that for our children.
Of
And
course
so
not,
like for our 3-year-old, we were so excited to have the diagnosis early and to get the early intervention and the supports in place. And yeah, it is absolutely exhausting managing the schedule and driving to all the things and trying to figure it out. But I want better for them.
But you know what, Leah? It sounds like you are better for them, because here's the thing that I can say is, it sounds like in my short time that I've had with you and talking to you, I'd wish you were my mom. Like you're doing. I have a great mom, for the record. I have a great mom, but I'm saying parents matter,
Yeah.
and I'm glad they have you, because it sounds like you're on the right track. You're going to figure it out. It's going to be hard for other families that have other barriers, single moms, single dads. I've met a lot of single dads too that are raising their kiddos. I appreciate that you're a great mom for your kids, and you're figuring out, you're making these really hard decisions like homeschooling and pulling them out of school, and what therapy, and how to navigate all of that. It sounds like they're pretty lucky, and they'll be okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think
It's
just
been a journey. Oh my gosh.
I think despite all that, I would say I truly appreciate how raw your posts are. I really enjoy reading them, although they make me cry.
Thank you.
Also probably perimenopausal.
And like I need a space. You know what? Actually having that space too has been deeply healing for me.
Cool.
Because
I love that.
like last summer, like I was still so deep in like the anxiety of it all, and like new diagnosis for all my kids too. And I started this page in September of last year. Yeah. Just as a way to voice what I'm going through, what my children are going through. Yeah. And so that other people don't feel so alone. Like I work in postpartum mental health, and the whole premise of where I work for a nonprofit is to end the isolation and distress of families navigating postpartum. Yeah. And I'm like, we need that space. Yes. For absolutely. Parents of autistic kids, neurodivergent kids, like we need to be able to voice what we're going through without shame too, right? Because when your kid gets a diagnosis, there can be so many different emotions. Like there can be, for me with my second, it was relief. And there can also be grief as well, right? And, you know, so many feelings of what you thought life was going to look like, and now it doesn't. And people are afraid to say those things. I agree. People are afraid to say that this is hard. And they want to put up a front in the way our society is, right? To like, we need to have it all together all the time, and we don't.
Well, I hope other parents take your lead, and I hope that they go on social media and they find healing and they speak loudly. And I think that that's needed, because I think that's where we find a sense of community as well. So as we wrap it up, do you have anything? I mean, I have a lot to say about my opinion to the government. I'm going to try and be very kind, because I also appreciate what they're doing for the other kiddos. Yep. So I need to be very, very clear on that. But if you can say something to the families, what would we say wrapping this up?
To the families. Ooh, to find supports through this, to find community through this. There are people putting out information about what's going on, your page included. Yeah. We're working on it. Yeah. You know, and so to find those places, because there's so much information out there right now. Yeah. This is something that our OT had said to us the other day too, is families are scared. Yes. Right? They don't know where to turn to for the information, and it's all so confusing right now. Yeah. So to find community, to find reliable resources. Yeah. I think that's huge.
I love that. I would add to it, slow it down. Self-care. Yeah. One step at a time. Yeah. Figure out the steps, but then one step. Don't look too far. Yeah. Keep it simple as you can, because it can be a pretty complicated world we're about to step into.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here, Lee.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.